Hello, and today we are reading Torah portion Shemini, and that is found in the book of Leviticus, or in Hebrew Vayikra, from chapter 9 and verse 1 through 11 and 47. It happened on the 8th day that Moshe called Aaron and his sons and the Zachanim of Israel, and he said to Aaron, "Take a calf from the herd for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, and offer them before Yahweh. You shall speak to the children of Israel, saying, Take a male goat for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both a year old, without blemish, for a burnt offering, and an ox for a ram for shalom offerings to sacrifice before Yahweh, and a meal offering mixed with oil, for today Yahweh appears to you." They brought what Moshe commanded before the tent of meeting, and all the congregation drew near and stood before Yahweh. Moshe said, "This is the thing which Yahweh commanded that you should do, and the glory of Yahweh shall appear to you." Moshe said to Aaron, "Draw near to the altar, and offer your sin offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people, and offer the offering of the people, and make atonement for them as Yahweh commanded." So Aaron drew near to the altar, and killed the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. The sons of Aaron presented the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood, and put it on the horns of the altar, and poured out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the cover from the liver of the sin offering he burned upon the altar, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. The flesh and the skin he burned with fire outside the camp. He killed the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons delivered the blood to him, and he sprinkled it on the altar round about. They delivered the burnt offering to him piece by piece, and the head, and he burned them upon the altar. He washed the innards and the legs, and burned them on the burnt offering on the altar. He presented the people's offering, and took the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, and killed it, and offered it for sin, like the first. He presented the burnt offering, and offered it according to the ordinance. He presented the meal offering, and filled his hand from there, and burned it upon the altar, besides the burnt offering of the morning. He also killed the ox and the ram, the sacrifice of shalom offerings, which was for the people, and Aaron's sons delivered to him the blood which he sprinkled on the altar round about, and the fat of the ox and of the ram, the fat tail and that which covers the innards, and the kidneys and the cover of the liver. And they put the fat upon the breast, and he burned the fat on the altar. And the breast and the right thigh Aaron waved for a wave offering before Yahweh, as Moshe commanded. Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them, and he came down from offering the sin offering and the burnt offering and the shalom offerings. Moshe and Aaron went into the tent of meeting and came out and blessed the people, and the glory of Yahweh appeared to all the people. There came forth fire from before Yahweh, and consumed the burnt offering and the fat upon the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces. Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took his censer and put fire in it, and laid incense on it, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he had not commanded them. And fire came forth from before Yahweh, and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh. Then Moshe said to Aaron, "This is what Yahweh spoke of, saying, I will show myself holy to those who come near me, and before all the people I will be glorified." Aaron held his shalom. Moshe called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, "Draw near, carry your brothers from before the sanctuary out of the camp." So they drew near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moshe had said. Moshe said to Aaron and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons, "Don't let the hair of your heads go loose, neither tear your clothes, that you don't die, that he not be angry with all the congregation. But let your brothers, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which Yahweh has kindled. You shall not go out from the door of the tent of meeting, lest you die, for the anointing oil of Yahweh is on you. They did according to the word of Moshe. Yahweh spoke to Aaron, saying, Drink no wine nor strong drink, you nor your sons with you, when you go into the tent of meeting, that you don't die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, and that you are to make a distinction between the set apart and the common, and between the unclean and the clean, and that you are to teach the children of Israel all the statutes which Yahweh has spoken to them by Moshe. Moshe spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons who were left. Take the meal offering that remains of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and eat it without yeast beside the altar, for it is most holy. And ye shall eat it in a holy place, because it is your portion and your son's portion of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, for so I am commanded. The waved breast and the heaved thigh you shall eat in a clean place, you and your sons and your daughters with you, for they are given as your portion and your son's portion out of the sacrifices of the shalom offerings of the children of Israel. The heaved thigh and the waved breast they shall bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before Yahweh, and it shall be yours and your sons with you as a portion forever, as Yahweh has commanded. Moshe diligently inquired about the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burned. And he was angry with Eleazar and with Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, who were left, saying, Why haven't you eaten the sin offering in the place of the sanctuary, seeing it is most set apart? And he has given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before Yahweh. Behold, its blood was not brought into the inner part of the sanctuary. You certainly should have eaten it in the sanctuary, as I commanded. Aaron spoke to Moshe, Behold, this day they have offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before Yahweh, and such things as these have happened to me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, would it have been pleasing in the sight of Yahweh? When Moshe heard that, it was pleasing in his sight. Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the living things which you may eat among all the animals that are on the earth. Whatever parts the hoof and is cloven-footed, and chews the cud among the animals that you may eat. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat of those that chew the cud, nor of those who part the hoof. The camel, because he chews the cud, but because he doesn't have a parted hoof, he is unclean to you. The coney, because he chews the cud, but doesn't have a parted hoof, he is unclean to you. The hare, because she chews the cud, but doesn't part the hoof, she is unclean to you. The pig, because he has a split hoof and is cloven-footed, but doesn't chew the cud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcasses you shall not touch. They are unclean to you. These you may eat of all that are in the waters. Whatever has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, that you may eat. All that don't have fins and scales in the seas, and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of all the living creatures that are in the waters, they are an abomination to you, and you detest them. You shall not eat their flesh, and you shall detest their carcasses. Whatever has no fins nor scales in the waters, that is an abomination to you. These you shall detest among birds. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The nesher and the rakam and the black rakam and the red kite, any kind of black kite, any kind of raven, the tanshemet, the screech owl, and the gull, any kind of hawk, the kos, the shalak, the yanshuf, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the kasidah, any kind of heron, the dukifat, and the atelef. All flying insects that walk on all fours are an abomination to you. Yet you may eat of these, of all winged creeping things that go on all fours, which have legs above their feet, with which to hop on the earth. Even of these you may eat. Any kind of arba, any kind of katydid, any kind of cricket, and any kind of grasshopper. But all winged creeping things which have 4 feet are an abomination to you. By these you will become unclean. Whoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until evening. Whoever carries any part of their carcass shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. Every animal which parts the hoof and is not cloven-footed, nor chews the cud, is unclean to you. Everyone who touches them shall be unclean. Whatever goes on its paws among all animals that go on all fours, they are unclean to you. Whoever touches their carcass shall be unclean until the evening. He who carries their carcass shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. They are unclean to you. These are they which are unclean to you among the creeping things that creep on the earth: the coled, the rat, any kind of sog, the anaka and the monitor lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, and the tanshanet. These are they which are unclean to you among all that creep. Whoever touches them when they are dead shall be unclean until the evening. On whatever any of them falls when they are dead, it shall be unclean, whether it is any vessel of wood, or clothing, or skin, or sack, whatever vessel it is with which any work is done, it must be put into water, and it shall be unclean until the evening. Then it will be clean. Every earthen vessel into which any of them falls, all that is in it shall be unclean, and you shall break it. All food which may be eaten, that on which water comes, shall be unclean, and all drink that may be drunk in every vessel shall be unclean. Everything whereupon any of their carcass falls shall be unclean. Whether oven or range for pots, it shall be broken in pieces. They are unclean, and shall be unclean to you. Nevertheless, a spring or a cistern in which water is gathered shall be clean, but that which touches their carcass shall be unclean. If part of their carcass falls on any sowing seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But if water is put on the seed, and part of their carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. If any animal of which you may eat dies, he who touches its carcass shall be unclean until the evening. He who eats of its carcass shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. He also who carries its carcass shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. Every creeping thing that creeps on the earth is an abomination. It shall not be eaten. Whatever goes on its belly, and whatever goes on all fours, or whatever has many feet, even all creeping things that creep on the earth, them ye shall not eat, for they are an abomination. You shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creeps, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that you should be defiled thereby. For I am Yahweh your Elohim. Sanctify yourselves therefore, and be set apart, for I am set apart. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any kind of creeping thing that moves on the earth. For I am Yahweh, who brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim. You shall therefore be set apart, for I am set apart. This is the law of the animal, and of the bird, and of every living creature that moves in the waters, and of every creature that creeps on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living thing that may be eaten and the living thing that may not be eaten.